welcome to Typical Girl Bullshit, where we're gonna have an extra, or actually, special guest today.
Yeah, first special guest,
Mm-hmm.
Tyler
Yeah.
from Texas.
Oh, Tyler moved to Texas?
Yeah, Tyler moved last week? Yeah, last week.
That was really fast because we just talked about it. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago?
I think it was our holiday one.
Okay, so like 2 weeks ago.
But yeah, Tyler's in Texas.
Wow, that was pretty fast.
Living it up.
How's Texas for Tyler?
Met up with a friend that, hadn't seen in 2 years, caught up everything.
Mm-hmm.
But getting into the kind of routine of balancing online schooling and making 6 figures.
Yeah, so just staying busy. It's kind of hard, to date when you're doing that, plus moving states here and there.
Yeah.
While you're getting your life together, so that's normal. Hello.
Oh gosh.
Welcome to Typical Girl Bullshit.
Welcome.
Oh, I'm excited to be the first. One and only. Am I going to be your one and only guest?
First guest ever, for
What
sure.
a privilege.
I know. We're gonna have to have you back on after this too, because we always have to have our first guest back on eventually.
Well, she comes back out in March.
Okay.
Well, maybe.
Okay.
Well, I guess fine.
TBD.
Stay in Texas for your birthday then.
It's better that way. It's
It's better for everyone.
Okay.
What's going on? Have you guys already started recording?
We went on like a 30-minute tangent.
Yeah, we did, but it was
How long does it
fine.
typically take you guys to film everything?
Ooh.
Hours?
The questions started with giving us questions. I want to say a good 2 hours, and then
I have to edit it down to 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just talk a lot, so I already started asking questions, which isn't my job.
No, you're good because you're helping us make this entire video today. So that works. You can ask us questions, or if you'd like, we can start asking you questions, a few that we already have written down.
I don't even remember what was on that screen.
You're going to have to look at the notes.
Go easy on me. I've never done this before.
We haven't either.
Oh, it starts simple.
You guys have made however many, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Okay, we can start simple. So this is a dating podcast, right? Where we
Is it really though?
Well, we talk a lot about relationships. Do you want to keep it at that?
Relationship.
Our last episode was very much not.
It's things we've done in relationships. That still kind of counts.
I guess.
Okay, so yeah, the last episode was pretty much our experiences and around sex and stuff like that. But then the other ones are usually, just surface level questions about dating or about yourself or what you've learned from yourself from dating.
Oh yeah, what have you learned, Tyler? What have you learned from dating? Put Tyler on the spot.
Yeah, no kidding. This wasn't in what you said. I think that I've just learned more to look for things very early on in people. And I've learned very early to trust my gut, and when I see a red flag early on to kind of go with that and know that that's pretty much how the rest of the relationship is going to go, just based off of my experience. In the past, I'm very I'm a very nice, forgiving, understanding, likes to see the best in everyone type person. So early on, at least in my most recent relationships or people that I've been involved with, I've seen red flags very early on, and I would just choose to ignore them or think the same thing that so many people do is, I can change them, or I will be different, anything like that. But in reality, especially as we get older, I'm almost 30 years old, it's really hard to have people change certain things about themselves. Like, nor should you want someone to change for you. Like, you should be with someone that, and vice versa, someone that, you know, you wouldn't want to change and that you do genuinely like the qualities about them. So I think that, like, that's something that I've learned over the course of the last, like, 2 years, I would say, in more recent dating experiences.
Do you know what you're looking for in a relationship? Like, what the red flags are specifically that you're just like, nope, not for me, or things that you are looking for in a person that the next person you date doesn't have, you're gonna have to just move on.
Yeah, and I think that when you're younger, it's so easy to have a checklist, right? Like, it's so easy to be like, this person, I need someone that has this quality, blah, 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 blah. And I
think we all
think
have that.
so many people get kind of lost in that of, oh, I need someone that has this quality and this quality and this quality. And for me personally, like, I always thought I'm super, super close to my family. They're a really, really big part of who I am. And so, like, I used to always be like, I need to be with someone who's really close with their family. This is just, like, one example. So I would, like, turn down people who weren't. When that's not fair at all, because you can't choose the family that you're born into or the family that you come from. I think in terms of, like, what I'm looking for in my future partner, and I've always kind of dated with the intent of a future. I've never been someone that just dates to date, because I would rather be single than... Why are you laughing?
Because I looked at her, I was like, that's me.
I would rather be single than be with someone that, like, isn't a good match for me, which I guess is so wrong, because I've been recently with a lot of people who aren't great for me. But
we both have. Honestly, it's a shared experience.
I think that's the way dating goes, though, right? It doesn't matter how many times you're dating. It's so, like, it's that you're gonna keep going through all of those things instead of wasting your time on something and wasting their time on something you already know is just not gonna work out, or trying to force something too that's just not gonna work out. So I don't think anything wrong with dating and having a bunch of messy exes or anything.
But I think when you know, like, the intention that you're going into dating, it's different. If you're going in with the intention of, like, I'm just doing this to kind of, like, learn what I want, what I don't want, and, like, experience all that, I think it's different than using people as a distraction to, like, cope with shit that you refuse to actually, like, look at.
Yeah.
So, like, to kind of go off that, though, I will say, even though it's so hard to go through people that are not good matches for you, and, like, I will never talk bad about any of my exes. That's something that I kind of take pride on. I just say they don't work out for a reason, blah, blah, blah. I will say, like, you learn so much more about what you're looking for with the next person having gone through those certain experiences. And so, like, kind of going back to what I was saying earlier in terms of, like, the checklist, I think, and I don't know if it's just, like, I'm just getting older, but I think that for me, what matters more than a checklist is just how I get along with the person and whether we share the same values, and that's just more so than, like, a checklist of, you know, do they have this, are they this? Because I go for an 80-20 rule, and it's something that I've heard of online.
This girl loves to talk about her 80-20 rule, so
She probably heard it from me.
No, do not take credit for that. Do not take credit for that.
Okay, we'll give Mel Robbins credit.
Actually, I heard that before Mel Robbins. I don't know where I heard it from, but that's always something that I lived by. Everybody chases that 20%.
I think what I've realized about myself is I'm a very big, like, vibe and energy type person. And my values really matter to me. And I think as I've gotten older, I'm very set in those. So more of what I'm looking for is just value alignment, energy vibe, best friend, but lover, like, type situation. And I think that you just know it whenever you meet that person.
Did we not speak about this last week?
Yeah.
And I didn't even watch that one.
We're just so in tune.
She's just in love with me.
Oh my god.
I know, I'm surprised this never worked out, was a thing. We don't
Don't look at me. Don't look at me.
Okay, I can ask you the next question. If you don't mind
I don't know if I
answering.
answered that first question, right? I feel like I kind of just. I always.
We
I
I
never
mean, you can play the
we-
fifth, and we could just
We never
move on.
answer. Honestly, we never answer. If you've watched at least 2 episodes, you know we ask a question, we'll answer like for 30 seconds, and then it just spirals.
Yeah. So you don't have to have an answer, like a full answer sometimes, but I do like to just throw little questions out there here and there and see if we get answers. So
I talk a lot. That's like it's a blessing and a curse. And so honestly,
Certified
I forget what your
yapper.
questions even are. I just talk, and I feel like I have very good intentions about answering them, but then I just start talking, and then I lose my
Train of thought. Mhm.
It's because I'm blonde. It's what happens.
It's the bleach. It's the bleach.
It's the bleach
penetrated.
that seeped into my brain.
yeah, I agree. I think that's just how we are as women. If you think about it,
What?
we will answer the question and then just go off topic and just keep going and
Well,
going.
but
And
it
we all
makes
just
sense
like
because we at some point when the transition to the next
Mhm.
topic of conversation is. Men don't get it.
yeah.
They just don't.
That's why you're a perfect guest, though, because we can just ask you a bunch of random questions and you're going to keep talking and it's never going to get boring here.
True, I'm not gonna be one of those people that just says like one word and then stops talking.
Yeah, you're like, okay, next
You're like,
question.
my producer said I can't answer that.
And that's why I don't
feel
think.
like I feel like you should have already got that vibe from me whenever I started by asking you a bunch of questions about who knows what.
She don't even remember.
Our attention spans between the 3 of us are not great.
It's not. It's not. I just know that we might not have guys on this podcast.
I have the
soon.
attention span of like a fucking goldfish. It's there and then it's not. It's there and then it's not.
It's over here and then it flew over here and now it's across the room.
What was the dog's name in Up? Doug?
Doug.
It's like squirrel.
Yep.
And then you get back to it and it's like, oh no, there it goes again.
Each one of us. Yep, is Doug.
Do you guys have a list of like people that you have in mind?
No.
Bringing on?
Everybody that we work with is like, can we be on it? And we're like, no.
We've got a few messages
Is that how you know
too.
each other from work?
Yeah.
Your new job?
Mhm.
Or old job?
New job. It's funny because we actually go to the same gym.
I know. She lives down the street
And
from
I
me.
live down the street from her.
Oh my gosh, so I lived down the street from you too whenever I lived there.
That's
down
crazy.
the street.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. I invited her to go downtown and she said, I don't like taking a Waymo downtown.
Why?
It's so far.
But what's wrong with going on a Waymo downtown?
Because it was far.
Oh.
Far.
I
Get her
don't know.
drunk enough. Well, if she lived here, get her drunk enough and I'd get an invite to go over. But
Okay, that was once.
that was like 3 times. That was once on Halloween too.
Are
This
you...
past Halloween?
Yes.
Would you ever go visit her?
I plead the 5th.
Would you invite her over to visit one day?
Yeah. Why don't you guys do the next pod from Austin?
Are you going to pay for
I
us?
do love Texas.
Okay,
Never been to
Ella,
Austin.
Okay, Ella
Texas.
Langley.
I haven't been to Austin, but
Did you say will you pay for it?
yeah, it's a work
Yeah.
trip.
It's a work trip.
Okay.
To feature on our podcast from your couch, you gotta pay for our flight
With Vinny.
tickets.
With Vinny.
Here he is. He's ready.
Look, see, Vin's ready.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's so big.
Big. Yeah, he is bigger than I thought he was going to be. He's like double in size. He's 30 pounds.
Damn.
Big boy. He thick.
With 2 C's.
3.
Oh, 3.
Correction.
Okay, I'm wrong. I'm always wrong, apparently.
It's okay. I think we're all wrong sometimes. Not all the time. I don't know.
Wow, so you're supposed to learn if you're never wrong.
Yeah, that's
Okay,
true.
what's our next question?
Oh yeah, we asked a little bit of easy questions just to get to know you a little bit, but those are easy questions. They were pretty deep.
Make it. Just don't ask me anything that's like not PG, because like if mom sees,
I highly doubt mom's gonna see this.
you never know.
To all of our 60 subscribers and 500
That's kind of a lot of
500 viewers on our third episode. Don't know what the third episode is so appealing. The microphones went out.
I know. I don't know either, but I do think it was all the talk we had and the questions we had.
Where's this little setup? Is it at your apartment?
No,
Yeah.
it's at Destiny's.
It's at mine.
Oh. What are some questions you think are important to ask on a first date?
It's kind of with what I was saying earlier. I don't think that I'm gonna be great at answering your guys' questions.
Be like, what is your social security number?
Do you feel like you've found the answer to that, or are you still searching?
I have an answer. I just feel like you guys are gonna be looking for something a little bit more concrete than what I'm about to say.
No, we're asking what your...
Our answers are very fluid here. We have no judgment.
Yeah, we all have different answers. I think it depends on the person.
To anybody watching, do not judge Tyler's answers, okay?
Each answer reflects upon the person themselves and not everybody as whole, because we're all different.
All right, here's my answer. So I think I've been on a lot of dates, especially a lot of first dates. Do they make it to the second? Usually not.
I haven't even made it to the first.
Okay, relax. I think for me, there's never like a set of criteria or like things that I feel like need to be asked. I think that like for me, I always try to take it like the first day as a very, very, very beginning, just trying to get to know someone. I think it's very interesting because I've been on like so many different types of first dates that like, and I also, it's like the saying is, it's like, did I have fun on the date or am I just the fun? Because like I was saying earlier, like I'm very, very outgoing. I'm very talkative. I like to ask people questions about themselves. It's just how I am. I don't like to talk about myself. So like I usually sit there and I don't like sit there and interview them, but like,
I mean, it's actually a first date is kind of an interview though. Because you're like, do I want to make the second date happen?
I think for me, it's just like, can I have fun with them? It's not necessarily like, do they answer like certain questions the way that I want them to, or like, do they answer like, are our interests the same at that point? I think like for me, it's like, okay, can I have fun with this person? If yes, then like, we'll go from there. Are they normal? Blah, blah, blah. But usually what I generally talk about on first dates is like, just trying to get to know who they are, their background, what's important to them. I don't think that you necessarily need to get into stuff of like kids or anything super crazy.
If you're asking about kids on the first date, that's crazy. Unless you're like a parent. Well, I don't know. Do you disclose that you have a kid?
I was going to say, would you expect me to disclose that information? Because sometimes I do, sometimes I don't.
I feel like that's a you thing, though.
Well, I mean, if it's somebody that's seen me on social media, they obviously know I'm a mom. But like, I went on a Tinder date.
I think, let me rephrase what I said. I think that first dates are are more so for trying to get to know someone, however that might be. Like, if that's what they're comfortable talking about, at least personally, there are some people that like probably would not want to talk about that depth of things. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm an open book about anything in my love and in my life.
About
and
love.
I also am a very deep person, and I connect with people very easily. So like for me, like I don't really care what people tell me. Like if you want to talk politics on the first date, that's fine. If you want to talk about certain things on the first date, that's fine. Am I going to start those kinds of conversations with people? No. But I think I don't know. I always go into a first date with zero expectations. And, like, it can kind of go whatever way that it's going to go. I've been on some that are, like, very awkward and very one-sided where they don't shut the fuck up. And, like, I've never left a first date. There's one in particular that happened here. He owned, like, some really big tech company. Only talked about that. He told me he wanted a woman.
Get out of my face.
he wanted a woman that just wanted to stay home with the kids and like that, which is so far from me. I'm a very annoying work person, as
She's a
Leanna
boss
knows.
bitch.
Yeah, you're just gonna work for your own money.
She's driven.
Yeah.
I think
And
the
so-
one thing on a first date that always kind of dictates whether or not like this person's being genuine about their answers, like whenever I ask about themselves, if they're not like getting excited about talking about something that they like to do, I'm like, okay, now you're just bullshitting something.
Yeah.
Like, what do you like to do? I'm like,
do you ask that question? Like, what do you like to do?
Yeah, like that.
You straight up ask that?
I feel like that's just a very generic question to ask somebody. Like, oh,
She's
so like
you ask that
like,
question?
what do you like to do for fun? Like, what do you like to do for fun? Like, how are you supposed to know somebody if you don't ask that?
Yeah.
Like, what kind of person are you? Like, do you like to go on hikes? Do you like to go to concerts? Do you like to go to like sporting events? Like,
I feel like I just don't ask those kinds of questions. I think I just like lead so much with like how conversation is going versus like asking direct questions like that. Like, I feel like I get
like you have set questions. She goes as the vibe.
I mean,
yes, that's
I
me.
do
Exactly.
too, but
Going
then-
back to what I was saying, like I'm a very big vibe and energy person. Like I'm a very implicit discussion type person.
I mean,
like,
I don't have set questions to ask, but I feel like that's just always something I ask somebody because it kind of just opens the door for them to talk about themselves.
That's my go-to question when I have no questions to ask and I'm trying to have a conversation.
It's my favorite question to ask. Because for me, I like hearing what people are passionate about and like the excitement on their face. So if like there's no excitement on your face and it's like, then you don't do anything.
Okay, so that is an important question.
It's an important question for me because it's like, for me, I love going to sporting events. I love being like physically active. Like I love doing those things and I have a plan. So if somebody's just like, oh yeah, I like to read. You're not there's no book that you want to tell me about. There's nothing exciting about that for you. So I'm like, okay.
Well, okay, Leanna, then I'm gonna challenge you on that.
What? Tyler.
If you were to ask me what you like, because I just had to do this for one of my classes today. So if I were to say, like, I like to read, I like to cook, and I like to, like, go to the gym.
Okay.
Is her response too boring that she doesn't seem happy enough that those are her favorite things?
She's answering those for like a prompted thing. There's no like follow. Okay, so if but if I followed up with like, what's your favorite thing to make, and you give this generic ass answer, just like, oh, I just like to cook, whatever's like in a cookbook. I'm like,
then I think you gotta just keep asking follow-up questions until you dive deep enough.
But at what point does it become like you're pestering somebody? Because I don't want to like.
But that's what a date is. You're asking them questions. Like she asks questions on the date and just keeps asking them questions and questions and questions. I think that's what you're supposed to do once they give you that set list.
But you can't harp on one topic the entire time.
You can't.
Because then at some point I feel like the other person's gonna be like, I'm getting back into a corner over this very.
But I feel like it's how you take it. Like I think that so many people have certain experiences that are tied to those questions that can be like unlocked if you continue to talk about it. Like if you say, what do you like to do? I could say, okay, I like to cook, I like to work out, I'm in grad school, blah 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 blah, on the very surface. But then if you're like
okay, so what are you studying in grad school?
Yeah. And so, like,
what's your favorite thing to make?
But I think
that does help dive deep.
I think it's also like it's a testament of who you're sitting there with. Like if they're only gonna give you one word answers to everything, that's not gonna be a match for you.
I'm gonna be like, give me the bill. We're wrapping it up.
It should be a conversation that's gonna just flow and be easy and like
you gotta hit flow state,
not
guys.
an interview.
Hit flow state.
Yeah, so exactly. So the beginning of the dating, asking those questions, it does sound like generic at first, but then the more I think by like the third question, they should be super enthusiastic to tell you and explain to you why they got into this, why they like that, or like how long they've done it. And it just becomes a whole topic on its own. And then eventually that'll just start snowballing into different topics. But
some people are so like dry on the first date. So it's always hard.
And those aren't the ones for you.
Well, okay, but it's also, you can't, it's not very black and white, because sometimes some people are just like, it takes time for them to kind of open up. So you can't just be like, okay, well, this one's got to go because they weren't like as enthusiastic. I'm always open to a second date when somebody's like being a little dry, because sometimes I'm like, you're nervous, and you don't know if like what you're saying is actually going to be like heard and like understood the way that you're saying it. Because I've gone on first dates where I was like nervous as fuck. Yeah. But then there's dates where I just won't shut the fuck up. And I'm like, I think I talked too much. But then on the other side, I'm like, maybe I didn't talk enough.
Yeah. Okay. So sometimes you're nervous on the first date, so you're not really like, you're overthinking it to the point you can't tell if it's been a good date or not. So you gotta go on a second one.
Yes.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Ask you a one-off question?
Oh, go.
Or is that a no?
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to ask, so 1, are you born and raised in Arizona? 2, how old is your child? 3, stop laughing at me. Has that like...
Is this, am I interrupting your guys' first date?
Do you feel like it's made it hard for you to date having a child? I'm assuming you're like our age. Are you even looking to date / are you in a relationship? I don't know. Just give us your background.
Okay. Pretty easy. I'm like, only because I have spent a whole decade thinking of these questions, right? Like, I am born and raised in Phoenix, Arizona. I've considered moving many times, but I've grown to love it here and just do find myself staying here. Because I know now a lot of people are traveling to Arizona, a bunch of different people from different states that I don't know, so that does help, you know. I didn't like it here in the past because it felt like I kept running into exes kind of thing, you know.
Same people?
Yeah, it just kept happening. And I think like a few years back, it was just way smaller, so that tends to happen too often. But my son's 10, so that's why I said, yeah, I've been thinking about this for like a good decade. I'm really young for a 10-year-old. I'm 26. So I had him 16. And I think I was rushing into dates and dating people was because I thought I needed to secure a relationship so my son doesn't go without a father. Mm-hmm. And so I spent a lot of time just learning from a lot of that. Could not understand that I had other issues. It wasn't just that itself. And I learned that I even rushed getting into a marriage. So the thing about me is when I date somebody, I go fully in. I follow along with, you know, whatever they want or whatever I feel like I can get out of the relationship, or that's how I was in the past. So that's what I was doing, right? And I was going through all of these relationships, as breakup after breakup after breakup. I dated so many different people. I was only married for like a really, really short amount of time.
Was it like 2 years?
3 years. And yeah, and from that I learned a lot too, which I realized that, one, I don't have to put so much pressure on another person because this is my kid. Like, I love my son so much. I don't want him to, one, form an attachment with somebody that I'm not even for sure with. So I don't like introducing him to anybody. When I date anybody, I think the only person I ever introduced him to was my husband. And that was because we were together for a few years. I think we were together for a year, and then he proposed. And so then I introduced him, and that's how we did things.
You waited a year to introduce them?
Mm-hmm.
Dang.
My last question for you is, switching gears of focusing on what's been your past, I'm curious to know where you feel that you're most proud of your growth has been through all of this.
That's a good question.
It would be, I don't know, do lessons count? Because I do really, really love learning the lessons that I learn throughout all the time, like all the relationships I've had, or the dating that I've done, or the people, I have become friends with or lost in the process and things like that. I think it all stems around just being grateful for all like the lessons that I learned from everything.
So you find the beauty in the loss.
Mm-hmm.
That's one way to look at it.
Because
I agree.
I feel
I don't
like
think
that helped me grow.
True.
I think it's super important to continue to grow. I think I was telling you this today, Leanna, like who I was in Austin 2 years ago when I moved away is so different than the girl that's moved here today. And I think it's so important, especially when you're in your 20s, to continue to grow. And my mom always taught me this from a very young age. She's like my best friend. She told me this right when I was getting ready to go off to undergrad. You change so much from your early 20s to your mid 20s, and then from your mid 20s to your late 20s, and then from your late 20s to your early 30s. And like whenever you're 18 to 20 years old, you're like, whatever, I can do whatever. But I think that like as I've looked back my 20s, I'll be 30 in March. So I've looked at like every year individually, and I see so many different things that I've accomplished. And then I also see like a very big pattern through each like chunk of time. Mm-hmm. And I think that like if you're not consistently growing, you're not meeting new people, you're not shedding new people or shedding old people, I think that like you're not really growing as a person.
You're not really living.
Exactly. Like I feel like that's what makes you evolve from 20 to 30, you changed throughout those years, and just grew from it and knew, like, learned about yourself, learned about what you wanted, from others, or what you're looking for, or what you're not looking for, but you won't know until you have to shed those people.
And I guess that's like kind of going back to the very, very, very first question that you had asked me, and like what you're looking for a red flag in. And I think that like self-awareness is a red flag for me, and like something that I've really grown to appreciate. And someone that like understands, okay, I've gone through like all of these different changes in this amount of time. I've done this, and like can articulate what they've done. I think emotional intelligence and all this stuff is like now resurfacing in my brain, like as I'm talking more, as I'm listening to you guys. I think emotional intelligence is something that's super important.
Mm-hmm. I agree. That's a big one for me.
And I think that that's really the hallmark of what I'm looking for in someone else. And I think as I've gotten older too, I never would have thought that when I was like in my earlier mid 20s, you never think about like certain things, but like then you think about like stressful situations that happen in your life. And it's like, how do people respond to conflict? How do people respond to stress? Like,
that actually is a good one, because I've seen how people react, and I'm like, why are you so quick 100%. To like jump the gun and like start yelling at somebody?
Well, jump the gun, or just break down and not know how to handle it. So then it's like,
or shut down.
Only gets harder as you get older. And so it's like you need someone that is going to be there to be able to handle different situations with you. Or like if you can't, like pick up the weight and handle it themselves.
I also think that kind of goes back to like, because Destiny and I were kind of talking about this before you got on, of like how people are raised. I think the environment that people are raised kind of not necessarily like finite determine how they respond to situations, but I think it also gives a very good insight on how they deal with situations. Because if you're raised in a household where your parents are going back and forth about an issue, like you think that that's a healthy way of coping.
100%.
Or if like you see your mom shutting down because your dad's like getting aggressive, then you shut down. Or if you can't raise, you can't speak your mind because nobody's going to understand you, and like you're met with something that's going to be minimized, then you just internally shut down as a kid. So as an adult, like you don't bring anything to light, because it's like, well, nobody gave a shit when I was 10 years old, so why is anybody going to give a shit now that I'm 30?
And I think that's that's how avoidance happen.
I was just listening to a podcast today where they talked about how you always want to find your opposite because you think that they're going to feel exactly what you said, like the part of you that you want to be. But a lot of the times, your opposite is also something that you hate the most about yourself. That, you know, so.
Can I expand on that?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, because it just sparked something in my brain. Because the last person that I was like seeing, I would say is like, it's hard to like say like your complete opposite, right? Like I think that like what we wanted out of life was similar, but who we were on like a day to day was very opposite. Like I'm very like go with the flow. I don't even know how to describe it, but she was very like woo woo. Wanted me to do breath work. I didn't want to ever do that. That's not how I am. I like to go out and like
I know
party
exactly.
and meet my friends.
I know exactly who she's talking about.
Yeah, I know. I just told. Yeah, it was my most recent person. Anyways,
Shout out San Diego.
yeah, but I think that like I always thought the same thing too. Like, oh, maybe opposites attract because like they'd always be like, do you want to like go to breath work? And I'd be like, no. Do you want to journal? No. Like that's so far opposite of who I am. She was like, oh well, why don't you just like journal every day? Just like, and I was like, if I were to journal, it'd be the same thing every single day. And like I'm not trying to say this in whatever way, but like I think I'm a very like level person. Like I don't know how to describe it. If I have a bad day, I don't bring it home. Like I'm very good at like separating like work from home life, and then like it's just very like stable, I guess. And she was like, "We need to do breath work. You need to do this. You need to do this." And I was like, we were very off in our differences of that, and that's like ultimately what led our breakdowns or whatever. Because I would just want to go out with my friends, but like I don't do anything. Like I would never cheat. I'm the most loyal person ever. But I like would go out like a couple nights, like Friday or Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm so like locked up all the time, and she would hate that I would go out, even though I wasn't doing anything like crazy. I think that like I used to always think opposites do attract, but I think that as I've gotten older, it's like I want someone that wants to live the same like kind of lifestyle that I have. I want them to also have their own set of like hobbies and like their own job and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, like I think that I want someone that like is not my opposite.
So you want to date somebody that has a life outside of you, not just like wants to do
100%.
everything with you,
That's
because that's what
dating
everybody
should
tries.
be, though.
No, you're not. You're not one person when you're dating each other. You come together when you guys want to, not because you guys have all these things that you guys can do together. Like, no, you have to have a life outside of them.
That's what goes back to me when I said that a relationship should be like the letter H. You both live your own lives parallel to each other, but bridge together for the sake of the relationship. It should not be like the letter A, because then that just turns into codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people get so heavily intertwined with what the other person is doing that they lose themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's hard for people that have never been, I guess, like in a healthy relationship in the general sense of the term, that it causes them to like spiral.
Mm-hmm.
But
so
I think that you only get lost like if you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Like if they're
yes.
Like with me, I would wanna see the person I'm dating once a week. Like we plan out what day out of the week that we're gonna hang out.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I don't feel the need to text because we can update each other the day that we see each other. We can be with each other physically the day that we see each other. But other than that, like I have a completely separate life with like a schedule that I like to go on and people that I want to see, you know, and I just think my life is just super busy. I can't. A lot of people expect that if we are dating, we should be texting all day, every day.
But you just
and I
answered
can't
that.
do that.
Is that people expect?
People expect that. Yeah, and that
You
happens
can't
to me a
have
lot.
expectations for somebody else and then get upset when they don't meet those expectations, because it's like that's not fair to set unrealistic expectations that somebody's never gonna meet.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. And that's why then I don't know how people don't realize that they shouldn't even be chasing this person if what they want from somebody is not there.
Like, I understand texting. I love texting people.
I'm not a texter.
I love texting people. I don't know what it is. I just do. If you're gonna text me, like, I'll respond in like 5 fucking seconds. Not because of like out of desperation, but I literally have my phone on me. And I always get the notion of like everybody has their phone on them, and if they're not responding, like they just don't fucking care. And I'm like, I really could not give two shits if you don't respond to me in like 3 hours. But like, if I have my phone on me, like I'm just the type of person that's gonna respond immediately.
Yeah.
The other thing that I've learned is that like texting consistently gives a false sense of intimacy. So if you're constantly talking to somebody
And then it dies down.
and then it dies down, you're like, oh fuck, like what the fuck is happening? The other thing too, though, to take into consideration is that sometimes what other people present in the very beginning is what they try or like aspire to be. And then when it's something that they have to do consistently, it's like, oh fuck, like I can't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, peace out.
Yeah.
Who I am in the beginning is who I am day 876. Like that's just how I am.
I think sometimes when you first start dating somebody though, you get really you have this deep sense of you really really like this person, so you want to talk to them often, but then eventually you get comfortable and you're like, okay, they're not going anywhere, I'm not going anywhere, I think we can dial this back a little bit.
Oh yeah, but that's also a conversation to be had, and I feel like again, you can't say the wrong thing to the right person. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? You can't say the wrong thing to the right person.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think I'm someone that wears my heart on my sleeve, and like I'll say things as I feel them. And in the past, like it's scared people off. Looking back, I'm like, was it really the feelings that I was actually saying that I felt? Probably not, to be honest. But I think that also, like, then stop. You will never be too much for the right person.
Yeah.
I think that like they'll like, and why should you ever feel that way either? Like you would never want to have a life with someone that you consistently felt like you had to like act a certain way about or way to or anything like that.
Like walking on eggshells, having to be mindful.
Not even walking on eggshells, but like just like putting up a facade or like not. If you're someone that like tries very hard or like likes to do certain things, I feel like you should always want to do that for them because it makes you you. Like you deserve someone that like wants you for you, and vice versa. Like you want someone for who they are, not for this image of them that you have in your head or this image of what you want them to be as well.
Yeah, because we had discussed this like briefly last week of how being seen for who you really are sometimes scares the person because it's like you shouldn't want, you know, all of this. But it's like, but that's what makes you you, so like why wouldn't I? Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah, and I think that that's like I was seeing someone last spring, and I think that that's kind of like what ended things between us because they came out to visit and I was doing finals and working and all this stuff. And
I know about this person like, too.
They were like, "How do you have time for it? Like everything?" They were visiting, and I was like, "I can meet you this like for this aspect, but I still have to like do all this stuff for myself." And she was like, "I don't know how you're doing this and like all this stuff." And I'm very like real with people. I have a lot of friends, and I have a very good family structure, and like I'm very secure in who I am. And so I think that that scares a lot of people too, is like people that are just very secure in who they are.
Spin facts.
Spin facts. All right, bye, girls. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for featuring on our podcast today. This person we've been talking about that we have been calling Tyler has now let us know that we can use her name, Devin. So Devin was with us today.
Devin, yes. I was trying to keep everybody as discreet as possible, but Devin said, fuck it, just use my government name.
Well, that was fun. Your
ankle
liked...
monitors.
I know.
She's on house arrest.
I am, and that's why we do it at my place and not hers. All right. Well, I gotta go pee. So this was fun. Bye. I'm fucking thirsty.
You're fucking funny. Why didn't this work out between you guys?